of you that don't know me, my name is Angie Aki, and I am running this group, and we are doing our first week of expert spotlight interviews, which I have loved and had such a great time doing so far. So today I want to welcome Jennifer Jayne. She is going to share with us, and we're going to talk about core values today. And that's something that is near and dear to my heart. So Jennifer was kind enough to do a presentation with us as part of the curated project within Clubhouse. Was that in January? I think it was in January, right?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
It was like almost a whole month ago.
Yes. So, and we had such a great conversation around core values, and it's so important for everyone's business. So I invited Jennifer to be part of the expert spotlight interviews and to be able to provide valuable information about core values. So see what I did there?
Hi. Hello. Hi.
So please introduce yourself, Jennifer, and let us know a little bit about your story, maybe why you started your business and why core values are so important to you.
Sure. Let's start with the origin story, I guess. I've always been a bit of an entrepreneur. I was like the kid who was 5, coloring Disney princess coloring book pages, ripping them out and selling to the neighbor for $20. And so like I had all this money and my mom's like, what the heck? Where'd you get all this money? It's like, I sold my pictures, Mom. So I've always been a bit of an entrepreneur. And in 2011, I met a cowboy from Texas. Love, got married, hightailed it from Canada to Texas, was married for 9 years. Things were okay, then they weren't so great. I'm going through a divorce, a separation and divorce right now. And so I've moved back to Canada. So when I moved to Texas, I didn't have anything to do. And so I jumped into the blogging world because, I mean, why not? I started a lifestyle and creative blog, and that took off really well and led me down the path of being a social media manager and virtual assistant in addition to being a blogger. And I accomplished some big things with those 2 businesses. I launched a handmade shop. I retired my ex-husband from his long-haul trucking job. I hit $80,000 inside of the VA business. And I was doing big things. And when the life shift happened, the process of realizing that my marriage was not going to last and was not working for me was a lot of self-discovery and a lot of deep diving in what mattered to me and what I valued the most. And along this journey, I discovered that my passion and the ability I have to make an impact on other people's businesses is in helping them dial way down deep and go molecular on their core values and really define how that feels, what it looks like, where it shows up in their life and in their business. And we use that as the foundation to create their business strategies, their marketing strategies, and get really crystal clear on content that helps them build a community.
That's awesome. That sounds like a lot, right? But that's
It is.
Awesome.
It is.
Yes, that's awesome. So help me understand, and I wrote this down so I don't get it wrong, and you talked about it too, drilling down to core values on a molecular level to monetize heart-centered magnetic messaging.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean, or how can, I guess, what does that mean to me, and how can I easily implement that? And I know you have a whole program, right? But like if we're hitting on just a couple high points, what does that mean to me as an entrepreneur?
Well, the basics of it is really understanding your core values beyond just having picked out 5 words that look good on a mission statement or somewhere on your website. You know, a lot of times when people through the branding process, they're picking their colors and their logos and they come up with a mission statement and pull 5 words out of a hat that sound good, maybe feel right a little bit, and those are their core values. I really believe that our core values should be based on the life we want to live, how we want to feel on a daily basis, and the goals we have for our future. So it's not just about what we're creating right now, but it's what we're creating for the long term, so that when we center that as the core of our business, we start creating a business that serves the life we want, as opposed to creating a life that serves the business we've created. So we flip the script a little bit on that one and really focus on what you want in your daily life. How do you want to feel? Where do you want to be? Who do you want to serve? How do you want to show up? What are your strengths? And what do you want to monetize to be able to turn that into a business? And so when we dial in on that side of it, what I found is that we go way deep on what those words mean to you. So when you pick your core values, on average, there's usually about 5 words, sometimes 4, and they're resonate with you and align with the life you're trying to build, but they're still just words until we go molecular, as I like to call it. And what that means is we pick those words apart and we go 5 or 6 levels deep on breaking those down. So what does, for instance, courage, if courage is one of your core values, how does courage life? What does it look like? What does it feel like? Well, then we take those things on the top level of courage and we break those down. Where do they show up? What do they feel like? What do they look like? And we repeat 5 or 6 times until we're either saying the same thing over and over again, or we run out of words. One of the two will happen. But what you're left with is really clearly defined core values that allow you to take ownership of how that word represents that piece of your life.
Mhm.
But in the process of breaking that down, you also get a crap ton of content starters and thought starters and potential courses and themes for content, because it's wrapped around how you want that core value to show up in your life, which is then wrapped around the business you're creating.
That's awesome.
It
So
really
no
is.
more trying to figure out what kind of content you're putting out there.
You
It
will never
comes
have to buy
kind of,
another content calendar.
there you go. It kind of flows freely, right? Because it's all about your core values and your goals and what's resonating with you and your inner self.
Yeah,
And
100%.
yeah,
100%.
it is so important too to make sure that your business is serving you versus you serving your business. And that's something that, as entrepreneurs, and I'm working on this as well, right? Because I quit my corporate job to start my business, but in essence, I replaced it with another job
Mm-hmm.
when I started my real estate investing business. And then I'm slowly working my way out of it, right? And building out teams or processes and things that work so that it reflects the kind of life I want to live, which mirrors my core
Yep,
values. So, which
exactly.
is so important, because otherwise you're
Yeah.
replacing a job with a job and you're working, and then sometimes you're working for free or for
More.
little to no money.
And you've doubled down on hours and commitment and stress and anxiety, right? Like all of those things get amplified when we're working for ourselves, because there's no cutoff point. You don't get to walk away out of your office and be done for the day, because
Right.
you are your office essentially. It's
Yeah.
nonstop. So when you take the time to really define what those core values look and feel like, to decide what your best life is, not the cliched version where you're sitting on a beach in a bikini with your laptop, because I mean, really, sand's gonna mess up those buttons. Nobody does that. But there's this cliche idea that to live your best life, you have to be like, on the beach or traveling all of the time. And if that's what's important to you and you want to have those experiences, go for it, create that life. But for me, my best life means I'm working on my couch with my dog right next to me, and I can just like flop over nap whenever I want. That's the freedom and flexibility that I crave inside of my best life, because I've tapped into those emotions and the feelings that I really truly desire, like at the very fundamental core of who I am as a human. I then create a business that serves those desires and is wrapped around my core values, so that at any given time, I know I'm on point. I don't have to wonder if I'm following my true calling and my true purpose, because I know crystal clarity that I know what I want and I know how that feels. So when I'm out of alignment with those emotions and those feelings, I know I'm off track, and it's a very clear yes or no, because I've taken the time to figure out what it looks like and what it feels like.
Right. Well, and two, like talking about, and you mentioned yes or no, right? When you have your core values, and this is something I can't remember if it was in a recent masterclass or what, but I was talking about, and this is so true. We are taught to say yes, 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 right? But the goal is to say no, and to only say yes to things that match your core values, right? and your goals. So when
Yeah.
you have your core values and your goals really clearly defined, it becomes so much easier to say, no, this doesn't fit here, or yes, it does. And then you can be 100% committed to the fewer things that you say yes to, instead of saying yes to a million things. And when you
Right.
base it off your core values, it's so much easier to almost have an automatic response of yes, no, right? So,
Absolutely. Basically, I really visualize the core values as being the North Pole, that guiding magnetic force inside of your life. So when you open up your compass and you're looking at what you're trying to accomplish and where you're headed, you're not pointed true north, you're going to know in a heartbeat, because it really directs and guides the way you live your life. So you'll know in an instant if you're off course. So the yeses become clearly yeses, and the nos they start to fade away, because you're not even tempted. There's no entanglement or enticement in an opportunity that is a no, because it goes against your core values, because you're walking them out on a daily basis and living your life by that guideline, that guidepost with that giant line in the sand. No's are no's and yeses are heck yes, right? And it's just so much simpler.
yeah, that's
And
awesome.
the same is true when you then turn that core values into your content. I use the core values I created for myself. Funny story, I actually fired my content writer because I didn't need her when I did this practice for myself. I love her to death. She's an amazing copywriter, and I highly recommend her on a regular basis. And I've moved her to a different part of my business, but I didn't need her to write my copy anymore. I didn't need her to write my Instagram captions, because when I dialed in and did the work inside my own business, because we all usually do what we teach on ourselves, I was like, you know what? I actually know how to say these things. I know what to say. I know how I want to say it, because I tapped into that passion inside of what I believe. And then I took the time to create these, key notes or thought starters or content pillars or ripples or whatever you want to call them. And I clearly outlined them so I can see where they ebb and flow inside of the content calendar I've created for my own business. But the beautiful thing of that is when you are creating content that is encapsulates your core values and resonates so deeply with your core values, you magnetically attract and repel, because magnets both attract and repel the right clients. So you are the ones that align with what your core values are, and you attract the ones who do, on a heart-centered basis, align with what you want to achieve and how you can impact them.
Yeah. And that's so important, because we don't, right? You don't want just any client. You want the right client. You want the
Absolutely.
ideal client,
That's
and
right.
someone that really, that you magnetize, you work together. Uh, so that is so important.
Yeah.
So do you mind sharing what your core values are with us?
Sure. So I'll share the main three. I'm still working through two more of them to do my own progress, because it takes a little time. But my main three core values that I'm really focused on, especially this year, is abundance, community, and fearlessness. And so I walk those out on a daily basis. Abundance is kind of like one of those woo words where people are like, all right, good for you, right? It's kind of like rich or wealthy. But to me, abundance, it really encapsulates the ability to have the freedoms that I want. So it's financial freedom, it's time freedom, it's fewer restrictions in my life. And so it shows up in my core values as freedom, alignment, being able to enjoy the things that I've been blessed with. And gratitude is a big piece of abundance for me. Same with being fearless. I'm facing a very large personal challenge right now that I'm going through and restarting my life. And I fearlessly talk about it because I know there's other people that need the encouragement to know that they can launch a business or, hit their goals inside of the stress and frustration of going through the end of a marriage or a relationship, because that can be really hard and can be very derailing to our momentum. But it's possible to take that energy, spin it on its head, and put it into your business and really grow by leaps and bounds. So I'm very clear and transparent about what my struggles are. So I'm fearless in that. I'm also fearless in the decisions I make and the investments I make in my personal growth and development and in my business. This year, I invested the most money I have ever sunk into any single program, hired one of my dream coaches, and the results are pouring in. I've grown so much as a person and inside of my business because she's pushing me to be fearless for myself and for my dreams. And so the momentum I've building has been coming out of being fearless and investing in myself. And so I take those core values and I kind of analyze them every day. And when I'm writing my to-do list and journaling in the morning, I talk to myself about how I'm going to show up in abundance and how I'm going to serve my community and how I'm going to be fearless today in my actions. And I measure my to-do list against those metrics as I'm planning out my day and planning out my week.
That's awesome. And I love, and I have to, and one of the things I'll be putting, I was reading a John Maxwell book the other day, and I can't remember the exact dollar amount, but I love how you're talking about investing in yourself. And it is so important to invest in ourselves, right?
Absolutely.
And so that's something I am passionate about. I invest a lot of money in myself every single year. And I feel like every year I invest more and more money in myself. And I'm not afraid to, because the result I get from it is amazing. But in
Yes.
the book, it was talking about if you take a penny and you double that amount for 30 days, what you get. And it was some like crazy amount. I'm going to look it up because I want to post it. And I think it's so cool because I looked at it, I'm like, okay, double a penny every day for 30 days. But when you look at the number, it's huge.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how if you just choose to work on yourself and better yourself and pour into yourself with personal development, even if it's just a little bit every day, what a massive difference that makes after a month, after 6 months, after a year, after a decade, and how we look so different, and how we can then better serve our communities and be fearless in helping others and do all these wonderful things that I know, and I don't want to speak for everyone, but I know the women in this community are amazing and they're doing amazing things. So, the more we pour into ourselves, it's like put your oxygen mask on first, and then you can help others better.
100%. Yeah, because I mean, even if you think of it in terms of growing by 1%, right? And you grow yourself 1% every day for a year, you will have surpassed where you were by 365%.
Yep.
And that's just by increasing what you put into yourself by 1% every single day and taking it 1% farther. I know from where I'm at personally, the energy that I was putting into just living a very basic existence inside of my marriage, I'm now pouring into my business. And where it took me, 1,000% effort to maintain like 1% positivity, I've spun that around and I'm now putting 1,000% effort to 1,000% positivity and 1,000% growth, and it's doubling down and it's really growing and expanding, and it's building this massive momentum in the shifts I'm making as a human, but also the shifts I'm making inside of my business. And the results are kind of a little bit crazy, a little bit intimidating, but like it's what I've wanted for so long, and I'm finally seeing the results of the effort and the growth and living my core values, because there's always rewards in living your truth. When you tap into that, it's impossible for you not to be rewarded from living your truth and aligning with what really matters to you. That comes to you so much faster when you tap into it.
Yes, totally agree. Totally agree. Can you tell us a little bit? I know you did I don't know what the exact verbiage, a coffee chat challenge or something. Was that in February?
Yes.
I think it was 50, right?
90.
90. I knew it was something. Did you hit it?
No. I did not. So the purpose
Did you give it a
this,
good old college try and give it your
I'm
best?
not done yet. I have 7 connection calls to do today, 9 tomorrow, and a couple on Saturday. I'm going to come really close. By the end of this week, I should be hitting almost 70 connection calls that will have happened within 30 days. So I started at the end of January. The funny story is I didn't do the math. So learn from me, maybe do the math before you open your mouth and commit to something publicly. But, I have big goals. What I realized in the last few days is I actually had this moment of realization that For me, investing in my business financially and investing in myself financially is only scary until I hit pay. And then, I do the math and figure it out. Okay, we're good, right? Like, I'm not going to bounce any checks. Nothing's bad's going to happen. And then it stops being scary and that stops being motivating. So what I realized that I didn't acknowledge when I decided to take this big challenge is that I need something that feels hard to keep me motivated, to keep me chugging along and pushing forward. And money only feels hard until the money's gone, right? Once the money's gone, it's gone. Okay, well, all right. So I invested in my dream coach, invested in this high level mastermind, and I was making momentum and doing okay the first couple of weeks. And she challenged us to do 90 calls in 90 days, which is a reasonable challenge. That's doable. And I looked at that and I said, that's not hard enough. That's not hard enough. I'm gonna do it in 30. I'm gonna do it in 30 days. And so I publicly declared I was doing these calls. I started posting in Facebook groups and talking about it on Clubhouse, have met some incredible women. But what I realized in talking about this is that I need the challenge of doing hard things that are a little bit impossible to keep me pushing forward and building momentum, because spending the money, once it's gone, it doesn't hurt anymore. It hurts making the decision and then backing that decision up. But once I've paid it, it's not so scary anymore. So
Right.
I had that moment of realization. I'm like, okay, so now I know when this challenge is over, I'm going to figure out a new challenge. And I'm just going to keep challenging myself to do something new and different every month until it's not new and difficult anymore. And I got to up the level. Who knows? Maybe next February I'll do 100 calls in 28 days. I don't know. But the beautiful thing is I've made amazing connections. I've met people that I'm meant to work with and help and support now, and vice versa. And I've met people that I know I will be connecting with and utilizing in the future as I grow my business. And then I've also made connections where I was able to cross connect friends and entrepreneur, connections that I knew were looking for something specific but hadn't found the right person. So the point of it was really, the purpose was to build I wanted to get uncomfortable a little bit, put myself out there, have a lot of conversations, meet new people, and build my community. But the results have been awesome collaborations. I found a co-host for my Clubhouse room. I found a divorce coach that's helping me walk through some of the dirtier, grosser sides of going through the end of a relationship. I've made connections for some of my business besties who were literally like, I need this. And I'm like, well, that's not me. I can't help you with this. And then the next call I got on was the person who could help them with that. And I was like, well, that's divine. 100%.
Amazing, right? Love it when that happens.
It really is. I know, because I found, when you ask for what you want and what you need in your life, and you put that out there and then you let it go, it comes to you in its own time. And when you're not holding on to the results, you're not trying to influence and force things to happen, the connections and the way things align in your life is so beautiful and freeing. And to not try to force things to happen, but just be open, right? This whole challenge has really just been about me being open to and connecting with people in new ways. And I found people that I need in my life to serve where I'm at. And I've found people that need me in their life to serve where they're at. And even though sales were never a part of the equation, I've ended up with clients because of it. That's awesome. It's just been a really amazing way to push myself and bigger and better things.
Yeah, that's awesome. And pushing ourselves is so important too. I mean, I love a part of my every single day is getting comfortable being uncomfortable. So I want to be uncomfortable every day. And that's part of, so these expert spotlight interviews serve multiple purposes, right? So they allow other women to shine within the group. They allow connections to happen that are, that I can step out of, connect people. That's so important. And they allow, I've never done anything like this. So it's kind of uncomfortable sometimes, especially when you're trying to get your tech and your live and your lighting right and all that stuff, right? But it's been amazing. And I love getting uncomfortable because I've never been really uncomfortable and put myself out there and something good not come of it, right? So something good, just like you said, you put it out there and it comes to you in your own time, but you have to put it out there and put yourself out there consistently.
Yes.
So I'm a big action taker, but you have to take action, and you have to take action consistently to get the results you want. Because then the results just happen. Like you said, you can't focus 100% on the results. You focus on the action you can take and the consistency, and the
Yeah,
results just happen, which is like
absolutely.
magic, right?
Yeah,
Um,
it's magic.
it's
It's not
magic,
magic.
right?
It feels magical sometimes because when we release the result, stop thinking about like the end result, and we're just showing up and doing what we're meant to do. And then when it suddenly appears, that thing that you desired, that thing that you wanted, just suddenly appears out of nowhere. It feels magical because you're like, I wanted that. I forgot that that was my intention. I forgot that that was the desired, the desired outcome of this. I was just showing up and doing what I knew I was meant to do. And
Mhm.
then boom, magic. But it's not. It's really just the results of you continuing to show up, being consistent, doing the hard work, going
Yes.
through the gritty, the emotions, the crying. Today in my clubhouse room, we talked about mind monsters and like worthiness and defeating those mind monsters, and how you have to derail those thought trains and change the narrative and speak life over yourself and speak words of high energy and vibration so that you can read and change the train tracks on those
Right.
things so that you think differently, and then doing differently becomes so much more natural.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you for being with us today. I greatly appreciate it.